I'm Louise van Rijn. Because I care passionately about this country and I want to change the way in which we talk about our country, I invited Benjamin and Rosamund Zander, the authors of The Art of Possibility, to help us do that. This project is about reigniting the conversation of possibility in South Africa. This DVD is a reminder that this is a country that is alive with possibility. And it is about creating our future. Because as Madiba told us, the future is now in our hands. The Zanders teach us that our smallest actions and most modest words matter. Because each of us is creating the future of our country right now.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Hi, my name is Kong.
Hi, I'm Robert Lawrence.
Hi, my name is Kanye Swazani.
Hi, my name is Tamina Alexander.
My name is Trish Joseph.
Your voice matters. You matter to South Africa.
I'm a homecomer. 6 years ago, we made the decision to give up our comfortable jet-setting life in the UK and bring our two beautiful daughters back to South Africa, to the country that we love so much. When we got here, we were confronted with negativity and despair about South Africa. It appeared as if the dream that Madiba inspired for all of us, a country that works for everybody, had disappeared under the issues that face our country. Poverty, safety, lack of education, crime. Everywhere we went, people were talking negatively about South Africa. And I was eager to reignite the vision of possibility for our country. I remember how inspired I've been by The Art of Possibility, the book written by Rosamund and Benjamin Zander. It struck a chord with me. It seemed to express everything I believed in, that no matter how difficult things are, any one of us can make a difference. I became determined to find the Zanders and bring them back to South Africa. So I went to Boston and invited them to come to South Africa and help us change the way we talk about our country. Roz Zander is a coach who consults with governments, non-profits and international corporations, an artist and the author of the book The Art of Possibility. Ben Zander is the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra and a world-renowned speaker on the art of leadership. It turned out that South Africa is a special place for the Zanders. They love this country. They immediately said yes. In fact, their exact words were, "Use us as instruments of possibility."
In August 2008, we came to South Africa.
In 3 incredibly hectic weeks, we managed to fit in 97 presentations, workshops, meetings, and musical events. We interacted with about 13,000 people and brought a message of hope to a country we have come to love very deeply.
We wanted to enroll South Africans in a conversation of possibility for the future. And what is that? Well, here's the best story I know to describe that conversation.
A shoe company from England sends 2 salesmen to Africa in the 1900s to find out if they can sell shoes and expand their product. And they both send telegrams back to Manchester. One of them writes, "Situation hopeless, stop. They don't wear shoes." The other writes back, "Glorious opportunity, they don't have any shoes yet." The 2 statements come from different worlds. One comes from the downward spiral, where you perceive hopelessness. The other sees only opportunity, glorious opportunity. I see South Africa as a glorious opportunity.
We're here because we love you and we love your country, and it's the greatest experiment in human history. And we want this country to thrive, develop, and show the world what a human beings can be and what a country can be.
And the most important aspect of the possibility in our country is us.
The people of South Africa. We make this a special place.
We found it remarkable that South Africans have passionate conversations around their dinner tables about contributing to their country. Nowhere else in the world have we ever come across people who felt that they could contribute not just to their community or their neighborhood or their city, but to the whole country. The really remarkable part is that South Africans aren't just talking about actively giving to the country, they are doing it.
I find South Africa so exciting. People are so energized, they're so engaged, they're so passionate about the country, they're wrestling with the issues that face them, nobody's shying away from it. The optimism and the excitement about what can be done is palpable. It's just like a symphony of sounds. Everybody's chirping away. And there are so many things going on. There are so many plans and so many different projects and so many different ways that people can get engaged in the issues. Nobody's running away. They're not escaping. And they're certainly not sitting around reading People magazine. I mean, these people are really, they love the country and they are committed to its future.
And the other thing is that the world is watching. I sometimes wonder whether you realize how much the world is watching. You know, I'm just about to be 70, and when we were children or young people, everybody assumed there was going to be a bloodbath here. That was just absolutely assumed. We didn't know what form it would, but it was a confrontation of two races and a situation that was bound to end in bloodshed. And here we are. Look at this room. It's just simply amazing.
Together, we chose possibility and changed South Africa's story with our first democratic elections in 1994. But we each have our own story, and the way that we tell our story is the way that we live our lives.
And the way we live our lives is shaped by our personal stories, by how we say things are going to work out. In our model, which is the model of the art of possibility, we recognize that the only person you can change is yourself. We've discovered, as many people have over the centuries, that we live our lives inside a story we're telling. That story isn't an accurate report on what's really out there. In fact, every person in the world will have a slightly different story about some event they witness. So how can we know what's true? We can't. The most powerful thing we can do is listen to people, including ourselves, as storytellers, and then learn to be responsible for the effects of what we say.
When we get stuck in a downward spiral of despair, anxiety, competition and fear, we stop being able to see what is possible.
We do have problems and we do have many challenges to deal with, but the problems and the challenges are not all there is to our story. The problems and the challenges are not the whole story at all. We are a country that is alive with possibility, and if we focus our attention on what is wrong and what isn't working, we will forget that it is just a story we are telling and that we have the power to change the story. We have the power to choose what story we tell and where we focus our attention.
It's not positive thinking. It's simply that you're creating a story that's grounded in what everybody can see, that grows and opens up so that people can see more of what they haven't been paying attention to.
We can choose to see possibility in each of our own personal stories. One of the stories of possibility that has really impacted my life is the story of Kaylee Mycroft. Kaylee Mycroft has cerebral palsy. She can't walk, she can't run, and she shouldn't be able to dance. But she does. She dances. And she dances in a way that she couldn't if she was able to walk. Kaylee and her dance partner participated in the World Championship for wheelchair dancing and won a bronze medal.
So we never know when we talk about disability what we're really talking about, because sometimes the disability releases something that is not available in normal life. So that happens all the time.
Kaylee chose not to allow the story she was being told of what she supposedly couldn't do to stop her from doing what she wanted to do. She created a new story for herself, and her story has impacted on others in a very practical way. When Kaylee was 9, she needed an electric wheelchair, but her parents couldn't afford one. So Kaylee asked her sister and friends to help her raise funds for an electric wheelchair. And that was the start of what became the Kaylee Campaign. Today, the Kaylee Campaign is a registered NGO, making it possible for people with disability to live lives of joy and possibility. They've helped more than 400 people with assistive devices across South Africa and Zimbabwe. Kaylee is living a life of contribution, and she's inspiring thousands of people because she chose to create a different story for herself, and she's choosing to live the story.
Whatever you focus your attention on grows. When we choose to focus on something being too difficult or being impossible, it becomes too difficult or just impossible.
But it's great. What you're doing is really beautiful. Now, there's something missing here, which is, do you know what kind of dance this is? You don't. It's a tango. And do you know this, Kim? The tango is the sexiest dance in the entire world. Now, I want you to get that this is a piece about sex, really. I mean, it's very, very, very central. It's a Spanish dance. And you know how the Spaniards are. And the Spaniards move like this. They're very proud. And they click their heels. And they're very proud, and they're very dramatic, and they wear black and red. Let's start the music, and let's see what we can do here. Now find another likely man.
We all have a voice in our heads, and that voice tries to persuade us that things are not possible, that things are too hard for us to do.
It's too elaborate.
But you can always choose. You can always choose to listen, or you can choose to ignore that voice.
I think he's interested. When you were playing just now, did you feel nervous?
To be honest, yes.
You did, even when you were walking around.
No.
When you were walking around, you didn't feel at all nervous. You know why? Because you were busy. You know, this is what I meant about saying, if the voice comes, and you could hear the voice the first time she was playing, right? You could see that in her body language. Then when she started getting out there and playing for people, she forgot who she was, and all she focused on was the people in the room. And then the voice is silenced.
She touched me because I played flute last year, I felt so inadequate as a performer. And I feel as nervous as you do when you're just about to perform. And you touched me, you brought me to tears.
What a lesson. You see now what I mean. When the voice comes in the head and says, I'm not good enough and I can't do it, then you say, excuse me, thank you for sharing, I'm busy, and this is what you're busy with. Do you get that? That's a lesson for the rest of your life.
Ben and Roz came to show us that just as we can choose to tell downward spiral stories and then live out those downward spiral stories,
we can also choose to tell stories that remind us that we live in a country that is alive with possibility.
Ben and Roz were here in August 2008. It's been a few years since they were here to remind us that South Africa is alive with possibility. What story are we telling about ourselves now? What story are we being told about South Africa now? When the task looms large, it's easy to forget how young we are as a country. It's easy to forget how well we've done and how far we've really come.
When I was 11 years old, I was practicing the cello, and I was trying to do this thing, and I couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it again, and the third time, I just put my bow down. My teacher, he said, you've already been practicing it for 3 minutes, and you still can't play it. So we forget. It takes time. Sometimes the number of shacks and the amount of disease and the amount of crime and the amount of difficulties, it seems overwhelming. I just have a feeling with South Africa, I mean, this is a long journey. It's not something that's going to happen in a few weeks.
What happens when we put all our attention on our gifts? When you start to pay attention to all the groups that are constructively working for a greater sense of community, greater prosperity in South Africa, then you really see more and more what is happening here. There's a group called Manigingi, and it's put together by a spectacular woman named Lillian Masabenza. She has gathered some of the poorest people, women poor in possessions but rich in spirit, who want to help their neighbors. These women are working together to start up a number of small businesses. One group is sewing clothes, and another one is growing orchids, and there's a group that is cooking food for children and starting a bakery. The amount of entrepreneurial zest for living that's in that group of people is magnificent. It's really unbelievable. Is that reported in the newspapers? No. And it's worth reporting, because that kind of thing is going on all over South Africa. It's like diamonds that you discover everywhere.
We really do have the power to choose possibility. It's a moment-to-moment decision.
Have you noticed that when you're excited about something and you tell it to a friend and she doesn't get excited, you can feel kind of deflated? You might think, well, that wasn't worth saying. That's an example of what we call an enrollment conversation. It works this way. Either you enroll her or she enrolls you. What happened in this case is that when your friend didn't get enrolled in what you were excited about, she managed to enroll you in her disinterest, in her boredom. And then you gave up.
I really want to encourage each of you to know, to really know, that you are powerful beyond anything you can imagine, and that every single person has a vital contribution to make.
But you know, it's very human to think you can't make a difference. One reason for this may be that we spend a very long time in childhood being small. If you're 2 years old or 4 or 6, and you look at the big adults around you, you might feel quite insignificant. Even when we grow up, our personality will keep on telling us that we have to fight to be important, or resign ourselves to the notion that we don't count. Now we see that each of us has a choice to make every day. We can choose to play the game of success or failure, or we can choose the game of being a contribution.
You wake up in the morning and you remind yourself you're a contribution, not persuade yourself or convince yourself. Next day you get up and you contribute, and the next day you get up and contribute.
Making the decision of getting out of bed and being a contribution not only affects you, but affects everyone around you.
Our story is that in their deepest heart, people want to make a difference. And when you are an example of living that way, the people around you see hope for themselves.
We are living in a country that is alive with possibility. We are living in a glorious opportunity. Therefore, each and every one of us affects the future of our beautiful country.
Because we need you. We all need you.
And this is what you can do to build our future.
Start with yourself. You can create your own story. You can choose possibility.
So now what we'd like from each of you is that you pay attention to your passion, not your hopelessness, your splendor, not your insignificance. We would like you to step boldly into your desire to contribute, to start Think of the smallest step that you could take in the direction of making what you want to see happen, happen. The smallest. Then take that step and take the next one. Pretty soon others will join you and you will have really made a difference.
You can choose to speak possibility and enroll others in the conversation of possibility because
your voice is important and how you use it is critical to the future of South Africa. It's as if we're all singing together.
If you were singing in a certain key, say brilliant C major, and people were mumbling along in another key, and you kept singing no matter what, eventually people would join you in your song. Think of yourself as singing a song, singing the song for South Africa, the song that's in your soul to sing. And keep singing it until you gather a chorus and a choir around you. And you'll be on your way to changing the world.
And if we each sing a song of possibility, then each of our different songs will actually have the same meaning, the meaning that lies at the heart of Beethoven's 9th Symphony.
And what it says with the words is, all human beings will be as brothers. And the tune speaks of harmony, it speaks of freedom, it speaks of joy, and it speaks of brotherhood.
Your voice will affect untold numbers of people. You can't imagine how many people you can influence just by the way you're being.
You can choose to speak in possibility and enroll others in a conversation of possibility because, like every member of an orchestra, your voice is important to your country.
You have the power to choose your story, and your story matters to South Africa.
I think South Africa is a great country to be in, full of hope, full of responsibility, companionship, big dreams for the future, and I think South Africa is the best place to be. We need people in this world who do believe and who are willing to take a responsibility to make a change. And I believe it starts with you, and you can change the whole world.
Thank you for being a contribution. Thank you for choosing possibility. And thank you for the role that you are playing in creating our future.
We're all playing and singing together in one huge symphony of possibility. Be the music, South Africa, that the world wants to hear.